6:30-ish.
You're still in your driveway.
No.
Not that we're watching.
Man, getting worried now. Oh, as far as that. Papers. Trash.
Have my wallet in my back pocket. Hello, sir.
Where?
All it's gone.
Chuck, how you doing?
I'm all right. You want me to empty my pockets, or how you want to do this?
What all you got in your pockets?
I got some quarters,
A bunch of change.
keys, my wallet. We'll empty it all out here. You know, like most not happening crime over in Jackson Township. They don't go through this over there.
Speak for them.
You weren't there to protect our
I don't speak for them.
mayor?
I don't speak for them. That's Chief Frank's territory.
Of course, when you only live twice a month.
All right. Thank you.
Last a while. And you're not, digging ditches.
Right, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You don't mind if I squinch your pockets?
Help yourself.
Just trying to be consistent with everybody. All right. Can you show me your candy bars?
Yes, sir. I'll even give you one, because I think I have two of them.
My wife got me some dark chocolate cherries from Annexations last week. Those were pretty good. Nice treat for Sweetest Day.
Yep.
All righty, thank you.
If you don't want them, maybe Mr. Diorio does. Want a candy bar, Pat?
I got a mocha.
Pardon?
I got a mocha.
Oh,
So
okay.
I got my chocolate. And
Well, you can take this home. Give it to the wife.
I will. Chocolate it up first. Thank you, Chuck. Depends how long we go tonight, too. I might need it.
Let's hope not, right? I haven't had my nap today, so I might get tired.
That's what the mocha's for. It's dual purpose. It's sweet and it has caffeine. And I got an F bomb in it, too. Up at Tremont. It's called F bomb. It's a shot of espresso.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, I don't know, if this goes on too long, I could be really tired.
We're at.
Oh, I never heard.
There was one up on.
And then a teenager hit somebody on East Maple.
I heard about that one. Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't.
I'll find out.
Whereabouts on East Maple?
Find out. I'll find out what the deal is.
Maybe like a block west of Clearmont.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No one got hurt?
He hit a truck.
Oh, you all right?
Yeah, I mean, his car was, when I drove past, he was crying on the side of the road because he had totaled his car and the truck looked like nothing had happened to it.
People that are constructively looking for a job,
That sucks.
so I'm gonna debut myself just in case.
It looked like he came whipping around the corner to make a right and rear-ended the pickup.
Somewhere outside of the.
Got one of those
I know
speed
that's here, but.
It's already 25.
It's already
Yeah.
25.
20, actually, probably 20 back there, yeah.
Yeah, the Lions came, so, do you really wanna be, charge you anything?
Have to go to a crawl at that point.
You have a dream job. This is a great place, but,
I mean,
Hudson's nice,
hopefully he wasn't speeding, but
Yeah.
if he was
a
going
lot of.
25, he probably would have totaled the other car. Like,
Sure, well,
you know?
Yeah, sure.
It
The association
doesn't-
doesn't go that far. Yeah, but they may help people out. Getting all the mailers that are starting to come in now.
We've got a lot of them lately, yeah.
They missed the start of the advertising.
I got a couple before.
Yeah, I got it.
I got Kurt Burns today.
Yeah, I got Kurt Werns and another woman running for judge.
Yeah, Dixie,
not Dixie Park,
Oh,
I walked in one day.
Gallardo
Oh,
or.
yeah, okay.
On the third floor, which.
Are they all running for the same spot? or-
No.
As I walked around the corner. it's like,
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who's running against Dixie. Is that- Oh, she's not? Okay. Okay. Is that every four?
I thought it was.
Six, okay.
She's been on, this is my very last election.
I was gonna say, she's been on for a while, because
I think this is the last one. She's old.
Yeah.
She's retire, travel, to restore.
I think you go on serve, you can't be older than 67.
Oh, okay.
That is on my radar.
All right.
Lived in it.
So she's on.
She doesn't look like it at all.
That'd be fun.
I would have never guessed that.
The refrigerator in there, full of beer.
It may or may not help.
So she's in her
You know,
mid-sixties.
it depends on when you get frustrated. Just
I
gotta walk
would
away.
have never guessed that. I would have never guessed she would be in her mid-sixties. That's crazy. But I mean, I have voted for her.
That's the idea. Is to have something
My wife
drive. So they're, the ultimate thing for me is to build a car.
No, she was.
And there's a thing called the,
Pretty fair.
How's she doing
Hot
with
Rod
the
Power
town?
Tour. And basically, it's
Enjoy yourself?
cross-country, north to south,
Assigning a lot of tasks.
over the course of the week.
I'm not retired.
I understand that, but still, she's probably waiting.
Is your chore list growing now?
Huh?
You don't
Is your chore list growing?
You're taking
No.
No? Well, that's
It's
good.
just my back is messed up. And I cut the yard yesterday, but she helped dump it.
Yeah, but I wanna be young enough. and-
She may be out of leadership, but it does not
I
sound.
didn't, she
Who's
did.
obviously running for president again. He is.
Yeah.
But the leaves all came down at once on that. I do too, but the neighbor cleans his
Ah, so they, just mulch it. Double cut it with a whole mulcher. Chop it up.
Well, for a social.
I can't compete against them. That's why I have him.
Yeah, there you go.
He does a great job.
Marty, how are ya?
Hello, good.
Long time no see.
Sometimes I have to tell Andy, like, if
Yeah, it's not
he's
that
at
way.
the yard for like 3 hours, Andy, you do good.
So,
like,
Sit down up here.
it's
James.
here's the thing, I lost my.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, yeah, he's right.
he just, he,
He's a good guy.
but it's like, so what did he do? He was, we have like a tree in our yard. And our neighbors don't have any, they're all across the street. And he's like sucking them up. Just marvelous. He's like, oh. It's not a golf course.
He does that driveway.
So that would be the cost. That was my first car. Oh, God, thousands and
What are you selling today?
Gonna sell today.
Oh, you say the same thing that he said.
You got a good deal. You got a good deal on stuff.
Dishwasher, refrigerator, and get all new appliances?
We did, so we had Samsung appliances. Which you'll never buy again. That will never buy again. So the refrigerator is the last Samsung appliance. So
How's it going, Marty?
Was that a good job?
Actually, really, all my guitars for sale. I got a PRS. So yeah, my buddy's like, "Do you ever sell that?" It's like I have to look at that every week. And I'm like, I guess I get an item things.
Was that part of your agreement?
No, I just don't play that guitar. So I,
That's Mr. Brand.
I'll sell it. I'll make you a deal.
I'm not looking at more guitars.
Yes, I did. He was there.
I just bought a Seagull.
With the property management. What's the
This
rule?
one is popular. Jessica wants you.
How many are
That's what she was telling me.
You can talk to one other person. The two of you can only talk to each other.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I didn't really
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. Very cool.
It's wider, because member of the department.
Big, yeah, I went off to see it sometimes.
So if I bought another one, then no.
No.
ZBOA has to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One time.
Were you on the
Yes, sir.
planning commission at one time?
I was, and I was the chairman.
So my question is, since tonight we're talking about those fees,
I think most of them.
Yeah.
too much.
It's too much, okay.
When you were on the planning commission, how many of the meetings were in reference to the city?
We're in reference to the city.
Yeah, the
Oh,
city.
I wouldn't be able to give you that answer. I don't know. I think the majority of the time, if unless somebody were corrected, I would say it would be because of somebody wanting to do a project or wanting to, whether it's an individual wanting to replat their property. Or
I got
something
you
like
there,
that.
but I went back over them, and lots of them are like, tonight, they'll want those, they'll send this stuff to the planning department, so it's city information.
Right.
It's not some guy walking, the city gonna pay themselves $200.
Well, I mean, I guess technically we do, but I get what you're saying.
You
but-
see where I'm coming
Yeah,
from?
No, I get what you're saying.
Because a lot of the times, the meeting is for the city.
I'm
So,
trying to think of, I mean, I honestly don't know
the
that.
next one's gonna be for.
Right, right. But I think that's an exception more than a rule.
I would say lately it's been.
Lately it's been that way.
But that's because
I
we've
guess I'm looking back
changed.
to when I was on.
That's because we've changed all the rules that you don't have to go to planning as often. Like you
Yes.
talked about replatting, if you're doing less than 5 lots, if you in the end will end up with less than 5 lots and less than 10 acres. You don't have to go to planning.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But
So
like,
if you have, 2 residential lots and you want to consolidate, the engineer can just.
Do the line
But-
adjustment or whatever.
well,
Don't take
with
your
that, that's
seat.
exactly
You
the
got one.
scenario that my wife and I had. We had 2 lots that we combined. So we had to go to planning commission.
This thing is still in the phone.
So there've been a lot of things. that
Big crowds.
But I hear what you're saying.
Because we were, the only way we could see a residential house and.
Good, my son drained my iPad, so
They
I'm
wanted to
cranky.
go from R50 to R70 or vice versa or something.
Okay.
Had to watch some
Otherwise,
NFL
there's
register
gonna be some
on
sort
it.
of
He pops
commercial
that up
aspect
on a TV
involved
tray and then watches
to
the
that.
ticket on the big screen.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then when he's done, he
Oh,
turns
yeah,
it
yeah,
off
man.
at 1%.
Good.
That sounds familiar.
Good.
Yeah, yeah, I bet it does.
Hey, I'm not going to Columbus, so you're responsible for your own play-by-play this week.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going either.
Jackson Band, man, Jackson Band.
Is it,
Oh,
is it,
no, it's,
We do have some.
Columbus something.
it's Columbus, it's a,
Country Day, country.
just, it is, yeah.
oh,
It's like a long name, it's a parochial school.
Oh,
There you go.
He was.
Oh, really?
oh, really?
I had no idea.
Oh, that's
So-
right, it's like the same name as,
So is Ryan Day
who we
gonna be
lost in
there?
'84.
Right, yeah, it's like you guys came here like twice.
Oh, okay.
They'd love to have you.
Oh, yeah, I think that is St. Francis de Sales.
You don't want to
Yes,
support the
that's
Jackson
it.
Band, man?
Please stop.
Jackson Band, man.
Instigator. We're not going down. Like normally we would have gone down. No Hicks playing. Brogan normally Water Boys, and I would normally go for that because he's got an 8th grade dance that night. So I'm like, we're not going.
It'd be fun, but.
And the thing is if the student, if he goes, they pull him out early and they hop on a bus and they leave at like 10 a.m. in the morning. Because they'll go down, like I don't know where that is in relation to the last school they played in playoffs in Columbus, but they went to Undermines.
Yeah.
They used their field for practice, and then they had like a meal there and everything before they bust over to the schools. So they make like a whole day thing out of it. So I'm like, I asked Rogan, like 8th grade dance, or and he picked the dance. So you know what that means, right? There's got to be a girl involved.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that's my.
Going to my buddies, going with my buddies type
Yeah.
decision there.
Yeah. So, and it's a Western thing, so we've got cowboy hats and all, so.
That's awesome.
So I'll be looking for somebody else to post updates. I hope it's like streamed or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's
but
see.
75 degrees.
Big stream stuff
I have turned it down,
Stream
but,
stuff up here, so hopefully it is.
Yeah.
It's taking its time.
Sure, we'll have to pay like
Yeah.
$10 for it or whatever.
It's a little warm.
But I have turned it down. Good. Higher court, but Gary tends to have a problem with that.
Yeah. Maybe Gary will come over and he'll see him.
I'm just supposed to be here tonight.
Who would? Yeah.
Tonight of all night.
Mr. Grant. Did I bump you? But I never seen him. I did see him on the street the other day, so he was working. Wow.
It's binding. It's now been.
Come out to get served.
But it won't. We have one crank. We have one crank in another room.
Why would you say stupid?
See what I do?
It's probably because they can reach out.
The ones around.
And she's like, she asked the guy when he came in, she's like, are you new? So he's a new officer.
I can open them.
We're new to this. I don't know.
Throw myself into the We'll get out.
So for you to get
The insurance will pay for it.
no. Let's not go there. Don't, no.
Idle time.
So my question for you is, to get to beer number 100,
Giannis,
how many do you have
the
to
retreat guy,
Or-
signed a 3-year
No,
extension
I'm
for
saying like, do you have one
186
left to take it to
million.
100? Or are you at like number 97 and you need 3 to get there? Of course you keep track of it.
3 years?
3 years, $186 million.
All guaranteed.
Must be nice.
Probably. That is insane.
Only I could afford to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a nerd with my board.
3 years of work.
Oh, in case somebody wants to know, I'm gonna post my IPA tonight, because it's beer number 100 for the year.
What'd you say?
You didn't see that big to-do about me posting my IPAs and stuff, and I can't pay the school tax?
What was that?
That woman that went apeshit on me in the group.
Oh, that was,
Because I post my IPAs, but I don't want to pay taxes.
I had to stop.
Well, tonight's
Somebody
my-
said that.
Tonight's my 100th at the tour, so
You should go live.
if I
Should go
kick her out of the
live.
group, she'll miss
You
out.
should post it more often now. She's posted some strange stuff in the past.
Somebody will find her and send her a screenshot.
Probably. Isn't that what everybody does nowadays?
So this shows.
Why not? I wanna quit. No clue. I have no idea. I don't know what people look like. Could not tell you. I don't think so.
I got that stuff. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, you're running out.
Well, go get one, you goofball. Yeah, they were on the table. There's 2 of them.
It's been a busy night for you.
Yeah. Oh, busy night, huh?
Keep our accents out of the bush right now.
Oh, on top of the car. Popcorn or Easy Mac?
Probably vape.
Probably vape.
Vape packs stuff to smoke. Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, I'll have to remember that.
It's interesting that vape pen would do that.
What's that?
My shower would set up our smoke alarm. Like, yeah. Came out that.
That I would say is a bit sensitive.
Yeah, right.
Hello, hello. Got my orange on.
You're doing good, right?
You're good.
Gotta be in like t-shirts.
I guess that says that.
We're not.
Who was it that told us that?
77.
Somebody said that they knew the owner.
Like,
Oh, it's over at Lowe's. Why would you put another Lowe's?
I don't know that. Well, it's gonna be, they own Cross's Pizza. I don't know. No, I don't like Cross's Pizza. It's not even as good as it used to be. Cross's isn't good anymore. Cross's. I got it from Middle Branch.
The daily
I don't know, every time I eat daily pizza, I get sick.
Everybody said Middle Branch is the place to go. And now that they
no.
apparently the original one
No.
I don't know.
Amherst and Maslin, I thought that. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, isn't that great? He was out to dinner.
Do his speaking.
Uh-huh.
Comes with a whole
Yeah.
spiel of different people.
Yeah.
From
I
that
have a
much
little
on
bit.
here.
This one goes on the top.
The fields, the youth fields, the park, these are the parkland where those youth fields are going. See, I bring my iPad so I can see all the extra stuff.
What's the new liquor permit, though, not part of the agenda?
Is it on the committee of the whole?
No, it's under consideration, which is before we speak on all the
Okay.
last time that the.
Okay. I mean, it'll eventually wind up. If they decide to go with
Yeah,
it.
you think? Okay, so you're not like, okay.
Expanding the door, if
It should not, it should not.
forget the.
Okay. Did you?
Because actually, you figure that's not gonna, the one on 30th Street is probably smaller than what they've got,
Is it
even
in
with
that
their
plaza?
patio. Yeah.
I've never gone in there.
It's next to the license bureau. If they were smart, they'd move the other end or take over the old,
I mean, I have an interest in.
take over the old, Ben Franklin's.
I rarely go down there.
Oh, you did, okay.
I only got hold after today, so I assumed it was
Okay, you got to. Trying to figure out who mailed it. He
Nolan
didn't
has
get one.
interviewed for an internship with the Rubber Ducks.
Fifth time?
But I
Zoom interview, did I tell you?
No, I mean, what about the other 4 times you told me?
Ours is certainly going.
The only thing is I told her is
We
some of
said,
these don't,
we had
some of them you get like credit for at school, and some of them you get nothing. And there's Hall of Fame ones that are already posted.
You know, that if you
Hall of Fame pays
want to make
a
certain things are.
air quotes,
No.
it's emphasis.
Most of them don't.
The Hall of Fame, I think, does like stipends, like they'll say, here's $5,000 or something towards school. So like before before you take a free volunteer job. Well, I know somebody at the Guardians who he could probably be working with because he gave his son a job, but I don't want him driving to Cleveland every day in the summer.
Very limited stuff to vote on.
I know.
Our ballot is truly like 5 days.
I don't think his car would. His car is not. His car's gonna be
Oh, we
cheap.
did
I
too.
want to drive it back and forth to Cleveland.
Yes.
The man being a man.
Of course, they don't play every day. I don't know.
Is that all you're doing?
Just a 2.6.
Well, I am too, yeah. My sister.
John, did you do it to everybody?
I swear to God.
I did to everyone in the
I got a sword.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I'm good.
And then there's my present.
New candidate for the manager and still none of them were the same.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly James
For what, for the
choosing
Guardian?
roles of council.
Don't follow that.
So my cousin has some genealogy.
Do you need more watch? No, I don't know how to silence it.
Although my computer says it's on.
I know.
Oh, I figured it out.
He's on top of his game.
10 seconds.
I suppose as my superior, you could tell me to.
7 o'clock.
I like it.
I now call to order the committee of whole for October 23rd. The time is 7 p.m. Ben, would you please call the roll?
Member Matheny? Here. Member Wyrick?
Here.
Member McLeister?
Here.
Member Wyrick?
Here.
Member Schreier?
Here.
Member Holt?
Here.
And Member Orr?
Here.
7 present.
Okay, we'll start off with community and economic development.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, this
Wrong
next
meeting.
time. I mean, you can pray.
I need it. Okay. We have for consideration tonight the request to reclassify 10 parcels. You may recall that these are the parcels that are going to be changed to Park and Institutional or Residential Single Family R70. There's a map in your packet. Planning Commission has approved the request, and our next official function is to set a public hearing. The clerk has indicated that an appropriate time would be November 27th at 6:45 p.m. Any questions about that time? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we establish the public hearing for this ordinance 69-23, November 27th, 6:45 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to finance and property. Stephanie.
Okay. Gina, I'm probably gonna let you talk a little bit about finance and property. We've had a few changes, and I was able to talk to a couple people about that last week. I'm just gonna pass it on.
Okay. So
What I will say though is, the great thing about this happening now is that because we didn't wait until the last minute, because you had already started budgeting and balancing and moving things back and forth, when things like this happen, we're able to respond a lot more quickly and be, I guess, proactive as opposed to reactive. But these things happen because when we get rates from what the county auditor gives us, we can't always know 100% what that's going to be. And that's kind of what happened, and then a little numerical error. So, thank
right.
you.
I mean, if this were happening in February, I'd be bringing it to you in February.
Yes.
Luckily, it is October, and we're towards the end of the year, so along with some of the major changes, we're also truing up some of the other line items as well going into year end. So the tax certification from the county auditor did come back, so we need to amend our revenues, which also requires us to amend carryover fund balance, which affects next year's budget as well. So we're going to do the amendments for 23 right now, but then in the next meeting we'll also talk about the amendments for second reading on 24 budget. Also going into year end, we have some extra money that we need on certain line items like street lighting, our electric utility, most of our utility accounts. Just a little bit shy of getting us through the end of the year. And again, normally in December, we would true up all the other line items to see what's left over and move those into those lines. However, looking at 2 or 3 months, we don't want to start pulling from departments' budgets to pay the electric bill. So we're going to go ahead and add it now, and I'm not telling you we're not going to see a decrease to true it up at year end, but I'll bring all of those true up line items to you in January like we do it after we close the year. The health insurance was the other one. The new software system is calculating when we enter the rate at 100%. But the city share is only 89%. So we're reducing those line items, which sort of offsets our property tax collection reduction, the offset on the expenses. So we're reducing that to 89% of the cost on each line item for health insurance. So that again is 23 and in 24. We're still waiting on a few other things to come in to clear up 24's budget. We can talk about those then. So as things are finalizing, we still have a couple more quotes that are out. We don't have those final numbers yet. The health insurance is not back yet. We're waiting on health insurance as well, and that's a major line item for the city. So we want to leave that open-ended until we have those final numbers.
You did mention the auditor, so how much it was different.
Does it matter?
I think it will.
Well, I didn't come with those in my, I'd have to pull out the green sheet. It's funny we still call it the green sheet because they used to print it on green paper. And that's the, are you talking about the tax budget? So that would be the next.
Yeah, what they were forecasting for next year is lower than what we anticipated.
Right. Right, and it's not delinquencies, it's just how they're accounting for them. On new levies, the homestead and rollback is not gonna be reimbursed by the state on new levies, and we knew that going in on our last renewals. So we were renewing it. If we renewed it, we continue to receive the 12.5%, but if we added a new levy, the state does not pick that up any longer. So those calculations are a little bit different than what we've been used to for so long. You know, there's always pending changes on real estate taxes. And they have a new credit now as well, correct? It also just passed. So we don't have the effects of that yet either. But do you have that number right?
Well, it was not insignificant.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, it affects 23 revenues and also 24's revenues. But we certify revenues to the county auditor. The appropriations budget comes to council. Mm-hmm. We can't spend if we don't get it, though.
Any other questions? Okay, then I'll move back to the agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Stephanie, 4B.
4B, just again, Gina, anything that you wanted to say about this with the different, so this is the rates for the Budget Commission.
Correct. So this is the certification of rates and fees for next year. So the value of millage, whatever the millage, and we have voted levies, and operating levies are a stagnant amount of money when they're voted in. So House Bill 920 rolls them back, so you never collect more even as your values increase, unless there's new buildings, correct? And then we have inside millage for operating and general fund, and that does increase with values, but it's a small amount of inside millage. So when they send that back, the Budget Commission has sent that back for next year. And again, we'll get a final true up around June, not final, and intermediate. And then next November, like we are here in this year, almost in November, we get the final for the year. So this is just the best information we have right now. And we want to amend the budget to make sure we allow for that.
Okay, any questions? All right, I recommend number 4B to the council agenda, please.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the committee meeting.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll start up in about 2 minutes. Budget part, what was that? So,
Doing my part?
yeah. assume.
I would. Do you want me to ask them if they want to say anything?
Go ask.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, so, I'm surprised. Yeah.
You ready? I now call to order the City Council meeting of October 23rd. The time is 7:09 p.m. Opening prayer. Do we have somebody that's going to...
Yes, Pastor Tom Call from Faith United Methodist Church is joining us tonight. Pastor?
Sure. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for another beautiful day.
Here's what I found.
We thank you for the way that you continue to guide us, the way that you continue to direct us. We thank you for the place that we live and the freedoms that we have. And God, now we just ask that we hear your voice in the midst of our voices, that we follow your direction in the decisions that we have to make for North Canton community and the people who call North Canton home. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ben, would you please call the roll?
Member Orr?
Here.
Member Holt?
Here.
Member Stroh?
Here.
Member Waring?
Here.
Member McLeisher?
Here.
Member Wire?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
7 present.
Okay, kind of a motion and a second to approve as presented minutes from October 2nd and October 9th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second not to request a hearing on the Cross Pizza liquor permit application?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right, we're going to have recognition of the public, which is Public Speaks. It's going to be agenda only tonight. At this time, members of the public wishing to address City Council may do so. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes. The committee shall be limited to legislative items appearing on tonight's agenda only. The rules for speaking and the speaker's time will appear on both screens. This will serve as final and only warning for everyone in attendance. Any violation of the rules will result in ejection from the premises. Anyone wishing to address council, please state your name and address and approach the podium, please.
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street, Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. With regard to Ordinance 80, 2023 on tonight's agenda, I would suggest that the proposed shared development agreement with Jackson Township is a threat to the future sovereignty and continued existence of the city of North Canton. I certainly hope Ordinance 80, 2023 is not adopted on an emergency tonight, as is typically done on important decisions by City Council. How can citizens have time to weigh in and understand the pros and cons of this proposal? Aren't we supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people? Regarding this proposal, there has been no discussion of the downsides of this action. This council body simply does not discuss possible downsides of legislation. Only the upside of legislation is ever presented. Jackson Township has no legal basis to block this annexation. I understand annexation laws have changed to lessen the financial impact of annexations by both villages and municipalities, but annexations are indeed still allowed by law. Townships continue to receive property taxes following an annexation for approximately 12 years to lessen any financial impact on their revenue stream. Annexations are initiated by the property owner. In this case, North Canton's Community Improvement Corporation is the property owner. This is the result of property acquisitions made by the CIC to the tune of more than $4 million. If the properties described in this agreement have set with no development for years, with only the requirement that property taxes be paid, how does one expect that the added requirement for payment of income taxes to North Canton will result in immediate development? Jackson Township has a population of 43,067 people and covers 37.1 square miles. Jackson Township has vast opportunities for growth and development. North Canton has a population of 17,842 and covers 6 square miles. North Canton has very limited opportunities for growth and development. The big guy is coming out on top in this agreement. North Canton needs both property taxes and income taxes in any annexation, and this should not be the exception. Every municipality and village in Stark County collects both property and income taxes in their annexations of township property. The shared development agreement you are contemplating sets a precedent that will haunt North Canton in any future annexation. Under this agreement, fire and emergency services are to be provided by Jackson Township. Wouldn't future property owners expect these services to come from the city of North Canton? This arrangement is just as confusing as it is for city residents who reside in the sanctuary, who find themselves as water customers of Aqua, Ohio, when they should be water customers of the city of North Canton. This should be a clean, unencumbered annexation, as other municipalities do, and as North Canton has done many times before. I liken this decision to someone who purchases a single-family home and agrees to let the seller remain in the house to live on the second floor, while the purchaser agrees to live on the first floor. Preposterous agreement on its face, just like the proposed shared development agreement with Jackson Township. This agreement is untenable and makes North Canton's future very cloudy and uncertain. In 2010, there was nearly an overflow crowd in the council chamber when a similar proposal came before council. The current and former mayors of North Canton, as well as citizens, filled the chamber, urging council to reject that proposal. City Council soundly rejected that agreement with Jackson Township. I urge this body to follow the actions of that 2013 City Council and reject this shared development agreement. The agreement is not beneficial to North Canton, and further, it is detrimental to the future of North Canton. It was unfortunate that Canton annexed the railroad all the way to the Summit County border, stopping future annexations by North Canton on its western border following the rejection of the previous agreement in 2010. That string and balloon annexation by Canton became the western boundary for future annexations by North Canton. With this agreement, you are proposing that any annexations east of those railroad tracks up to North Canton's border with Jackson Township will no longer be possible. This is a self-defeating decision and should not stand, and certainly not for 50 years as proposed under this agreement. Vote no on ordinance number 80, 2023. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council tonight? Last call. Okay. Moving on to old business. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 61-2023?
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of North Canton to reclassify 1434 Pittsburgh Avenue Northwest, Stark County parcel number 9208870 in the city of North Canton in accordance with the amendment procedure set forth in Chapter 1182 of the Planning and Zoning Code from residential single-family small lot to residential multifamily A.
Community and economic development.
You may recall this is the property down near the intersection of Apple Grove Road and Pittsburgh. This zone change came at the request of the property owner. It was favorably approved or recommended by the Planning Commission. It's received 2 favorable votes from this council, and I would urge that we adopt the third and final reading. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion for the adoption of the third reading of ordinance 61-23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title as ordinance 71-2023?
An ordinance declaring the improvement of certain real property located in the city of Canton, Stark County, Ohio, to be a public purpose, declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designating specific public infrastructure improvements that, once made, will directly benefit the parcels for which improvement is declared to be a public purpose, requiring annual service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund, and providing related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code sections 5709.40B, 5709.42, 5709.43, 5709.832, and 5709.85. And thankfully that's the last time I have to read that.
Daryl?
Thank you.
And real quick, let the record reflect that Member Wyrick has recused herself.
Very good, thank you. This is the third and final reading of ordinance 71-23, which establishes the tax increment financing district, the North Main Gateway. This is a fairly standard economic development tool available through the Ohio Revised Code. This will allow the city to capture the non-school revenues from that specific geographic region. We estimate approximately $73,000 in annual revenue. That will be, as short title suggests, used for infrastructure. Are there any questions? Any comments? Seeing none then, I move the adoption of the third reading of ordinance 71-23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 81-2023?
An ordinance amending Chapter 959, rental rates and policies of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton to clarify regulations and repeal outdated policy.
Okay, Parks and Rec, Christina, just in time.
So this is the third reading, right?
Yes.
So we've discussed this, we voted on it twice, we discussed it in committee. Anyone have any questions about it? Alright, then I will move, let me find where we are, that we adopt the third reading of 81-2023.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 83-2023?
An ordinance adjusting rates and fees for building and zoning permits and associated plan reviews in the City of North Canton.
Okay, Daryl.
Okay. As we know, our rates and fees have not been adjusted in well over a decade. The administration, with collaboration with our building department, has reviewed those rates. They are contained in this ordinance. Are there any questions or comments?
Nothing new.
Seeing none, then I'll make a motion to adopt the third reading of ordinance 83-23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 86-2023?
An ordinance authorizing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures and related one-time permanent transfers of monies made to various funds for the period beginning January 1, 2024 and ending December 31, 2024.
Okay, finance and property, Stephanie.
Okay, so this is looking at our budget for the 2024 year, and we had to make a few appropriations prior, because it will be an ever-changing budget. We do have all the department heads here tonight, so thank you very much for being here. It's nice to see you all. Last week we were able to see some of the individuals at Jackson, so it was nice to have everyone here. right now is your time. If any of you wanna have any, is this when you wanna do this, Patrick? Ask any
anyone that
questions
would
or?
like, from the council would have any specific questions, or the department heads might just wanna give a kind of an overview of what they see maybe the challenges ahead for themselves, or projects that may be coming up next year that they're looking forward to getting started on, maybe some of the operational challenges in the fire and EMS department that they're
I
facing.
know, and you weren't here the night that happened, when we kind of looked at a larger view, but we really looked at each of your departments, and we know there were things that didn't get in the budget, because of funding, and Patrick kind of tried to explain a lot of how that happened, and there's always disappointments. I remember I asked Rob, when that was happening, like, I had gotten some email from someone about paving, he's like, it all depends on whether levies pass and, you know, what things happen. So, Rob, you're always so good about starting off. Would you mind starting off?
Sure.
We miss seeing you.
Thank you. I kind of go back to the committee when Patrick did his presentation on the budget and the PowerPoint slides.
Yes.
That night, we talked about, or Patrick had talked about water distribution projects. So we've got 3 big water distribution projects, or water projects we're looking at that are in the budget. The first one, we have a $500,000 CDBG grant already in place, and we've applied for another 320-some thousand, 24% of our estimated costs from Ohio Public Works. And that is the Woodrow-Lois water line replacement. And what that'll do is replace the water line on Woodrow from Pittsburgh to Whistler. And then also, per the title, all the water line on Lois from the south end, south of Woodrow, to the dead end at the condominium complex there to the north. And then from Browning to Janet, at the north end of Browning, the north end of Lois, is an off-road piece that's old cast iron. We're gonna replace that as well. And then upon completion of the water work and the services to the right-of-way for each of the houses, we're gonna replace the sidewalk on both sides on Pittsburgh, again from Whistler or on Woodrow from Pittsburgh to Whistler. Replace the sidewalk, it's dilapidated in bad shape because of all the trees that have been butchered through the years. And then we're gonna repave Lois and Woodrow as part of it. So
Big
got
project.
that over $1 million project, so
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
But we already do have some grant help. Next in the water world is, we're looking at one, and I think we've dedicated the balance of our ARPA funding to it. And it's also probably the worst street in the city, is 9th Street Northeast, the cul-de-sac portion. We're gonna start at the north end, or the east end of that at Weber, and work our way through the cul-de-sac west, and then there's an off-road piece that then goes west through the grass and ties in at the end of Woodside. So replace that old water line and then reconstruct 9th Street while we're in there. Curb gutter and new pavement. And also that north block, north of 7th of Weber. The water line's okay. We'll replace the street to match what we had done in previous years to the south. And then the last big one, and I don't want to steal Mr. Lighthammer's thunder, but is the new potable water well at Arrowhead. We're looking to get $500,000 in aid from the federal government in the budget bill, as Patrick has explained. And we're also looking at a $1.5 million grant loan or PWC package that we've applied for. But that well and the raw water line to go with it, and I'll let Mark talk about why we need it with the rising chloride levels and whatnot, but that's about $2.25 million. And from the street side, we've set aside, again, $350,000 for our annual paving program, which gets us less and less each year, as we've discussed, and the need for the levy next year and whatnot. And then also, we're looking at repaving East Maple Street from Marquardt west to Taft. That section is in quite bad shape. You've seen just within the last week or so, they're still working on the pavement. Against the curb, the street department has replaced the curb and gutter on pretty much the entire north side from last year and the bulk of it this year. And let's see. Lastly, sanitary sewer wise, we're proposing a lining project on Wilbur north of Apple Grove. And videoing the sanitary sewer that's out there, kind of as a fallout from the May 2022 storm that we had, we've seen that we have infiltration in that sanitary line along the beginning of the Minnesota Creek. That when high rain events, that water is shooting into the pipe, so we want to line that
Is
in
this something we
place.
talked about for many years?
You know, we've done some stuff on the south end of town. We kind of looked at that, but we've really, it's just come to light in the last year. And part of our routine maintenance of cleaning and videoing conditions of all our sewers, because this came up.
Got it. I think I'm thinking of another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of it in a nutshell from sanitary, water, and street.
Any other questions for Rob on that?
I have one question, and actually it's for each of you as you speak, is what is your greatest challenge for 2024? What are you doing to address that? And what do you want from council to help in the future?
For us, it's just, in the last couple of years, the out-of-control inflation. You know, it takes a long time to develop a project. From working with the department heads, then to me as engineer, okay, it's beyond routine maintenance that each department does. Let's work on a solution. Let's find grants. Let's work with you as council to fund it. And that takes some time. So you finally build that funding pot, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, you've got 15 or 20% inflation over a couple of years. So then I guess the big thing is me with my head down coming back to you or to Gina, you know, trying to explain why. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just keeping up with the inflation. Hopefully that gets better in time, but right now, and then, you know, obviously, as we've talked over a year ago, with the need for the street and drainage levy, the you know, the 385 or whatever those bring in, just to try and keep up, because each year we're falling farther and farther behind.
I think every individual is feeling the pain of inflation, so thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
And then in water distribution world, Brian, if you wouldn't mind, you know, if you could just, I know you don't really like to speak publicly, but if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about two things that I had in mind that sometimes escapes us. It's, you know, on a line item somewhere, but you're doing some work out at the Akron Canton Airport, trying to.
Yes. So I oversee water distribution, park rec, and some building maintenance. And our water distribution team works closely with Rob, not only on the infrastructure and our projects moving ahead, but just routine maintenance, EPA requirements on valve turning, along with the lead and copper service line inventory that's required now, and we're working on that. Out at the Akron Canton Airport, we're working with Rob and our water model to make better improvements to serve the Akron Canton Airport and our booster station.
Which is growing.
Yes, which is growing.
And you were involved with an expansion project that's out there now.
Yes, Castle Aviation, and that project's going on out there at the Akron Canton Airport. We're gonna have to move some water lines for that. Got meetings with them moving forward, but that area in our water is important. Our park and rec world, our building maintenance, working with administration, keeping up with preventative maintenance with all our buildings, whether it's this or City Hall, Dogwood, Arrowhead. Our team's very busy, and we have a lot of projects we're looking forward to next year to make improvements on our buildings as well.
How many hydrants do you service, Brian? Fire hydrants. I know you know that, didn't you?
Yeah. We have about 1,600 hydrants. So we're on every year we try to hire seasonal employees to go out, pay them, do maintenance on them, and also our fire department is very helpful in letting us know what operates and what doesn't. So we try to achieve 300 to 400 each year to keep up with that. We also have about 300 private hydrants that are in our water system, working with all the private hydrants and homeowners associations to make sure that they stay up to par. And the fire department is very involved with that with their inspection crew.
Thank you.
Yep.
Matt Morrow is superintendent of streets and the sanitary and stormwater system. In that, you also got some equipment in this last 2 years for your team to do more in-house. Would you mind maybe reviewing with council a couple of those projects, and then if you know, what your intent is then for 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll stand so everybody can see me. In the past few years, I think last year we got a paver, and we got a skid steer with a cold planer, and we got a tack truck which puts down the sticky coat before we pave. This year was the first full year of using the paver, and I think we paved probably 1,000 to 1,500 ton of asphalt, which is probably about 10 times more asphalt than what we've ever spread before. Our last project, if you guys didn't see, it was the back lot of the fire station. So that was a pretty big project for us. In 2024, we're looking to continue the paving, addressing some of the alleys that really have been neglected over the years. A few examples is CMH Alley in between Hillcrest and Royer.
An example of what?
CMH Alley in between Hillcrest and Royer, and then Spawn Cellar and some of those other alleys. In conjunction with that, we're going to continue our curb and gutter replacement. I'm looking at probably Mabry Mill in Surrey Hill. That's pretty destroyed back there. And working with Rob with the paving program in the spring to replace catch basins and curb and gutter on anything that's getting paved for the paving program. As far as the sewer department, in conjunction with the main trunk line and the Michelle getting slip lined, there's a line item in there for slip lining parts of Wilbur Avenue Northeast and Chatham, where it goes under the creeks, where we've seen a lot of infiltration of water. And that's all old clay lines. We're going to do that in steps over the years. And that's about what I think.
Thank you. Thank you so much for paving that alley behind Crow's Nest Restaurant.
Oh, yep.
That was needed. So thank you.
I was gonna say thank you for Baker Court.
And mind you, these are all projects that would have had been bid out as part of what Rob does. It would have taken funds away from the other streets that he could have done. So by doing it in-house, you really have provided, you know, a cost savings and also service that was, neglected for some time.
And is Matt Script doing the sidewalks as well?
I'm sorry?
Is Matt Script doing the sidewalks that we've been working on as well?
So we are from Main Street to, I believe, Lowe's.
Well, and you were able to fix when they were putting in the new grates and things, and sometimes the sidewalk would capsize when they put that in. So I think you did a number that, like in our area as well. And one of the things that they commented was how service oriented you were and your team, and just how considerate and back out and looking at it. So thank you.
Mark, you recently got a operations manager to help spread some of the administrative duties. And if you wouldn't mind, I think we've got the one project that we're getting ready to bid out. Is it not the clarifier?
Yes.
Can you explain what that's all about?
Okay, first I'll touch on what Rob started to. Mark Lighthammer, water treatment plant superintendent. The big thing for us is chloride levels. Over the years, about every decade, they've been rising 50 points or milligrams per liter per decade. We're right now at about 200, and some of the wells are even pushing 250. 250 is the secondary maximum contaminant level before the EPA will come in and make you do something about it. So this has been going on. We've known about this for a while now. We've been working on this, probably just what Rob and I have done, and Brian out at Arrowhead. In fact, Brian and I were the first ones to find low chloride water at Arrowhead. Mm-hmm. We've sank a monitoring well out there. The test results come back. Chlorides out there, the levels are 70, which is much, much lower. The next lowest levels are 180 milligrams per liter. So we also did a case study with what's the one out of Akron? Arcadis out of Akron, and they come back. There's only two ways to get rid of chlorides in drinking water: RO or desalinization. Well, the RO streams, it depends what size you put in. It was going to have to go in the basement. 8 million for the smaller unit that would produce 1 million a day, and 10 to 11 million to produce 2 million a day, to blend with what we had to get us well below. Well, these wells that we found out at Arrowhead will do the same thing, blending at a much lower cost. So that is our biggest fight right now, and the chloride problem is a whole northeast coast problem, you know, with salting roads.
Yeah.
Well, the golf course in that area up there at Arrowhead, there's not a lot of salting goes on the golf course, so that's why they're much lower. So we've been looking for places. We did a study with Bennett and Williams that picked out 7 places initially to go look and sample. And Arrowhead came back as the best option since we already owned it also.
And then on the clarifier, what does that do?
The clarifier project, there's 3 250,000 gallon, basically they look like big swimming pools. And that's our flash mix for all chemicals going in at the, and it rusts over time. It's steel with a little bit of fiberglass on it and it rusts. You can get about 10 years out of the project. We're at about 8, but they're really bad. We had put back money for this year to do them. I added about 40%, but with inflation and everything, that wasn't near enough, so we're gonna have to rebid it here shortly. We just signed a contract to have it rebid, and it looks like it'll be a couple $100,000 more than we anticipated since the last time. They're thinking it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 700,000. Last time it was 208,000 up. And that was just 8 years ago. Chemicals is another huge problem that we have. Chlorine has tripled in price. We went from 74 cents a gallon to $2.15. Nobody will bid a 2-year contract anymore in the chemical world. It's down to 6 months, and then they want to revisit it because it's so volatile. Inflation has hit us pretty hard too.
Mark, how much water are we pumping out for greater North Canton area?
On average, in the summer, we average about 4 to 4.5 million a day. In the winter, we'll drop all the way down to 2.5 million. We're at about 3 million now.
And your rated capacity is?
9 million gallons. With room for an addition for 3 million more that's already there to be plugged in.
For sure customers.
Thank you.
Thanks. Chief and Battalion Chief, who would like to speak?
I'm Chief Bacon, Fire Department EMS. I've done a little things a little different this year, at the request of administration. I brought my second, who is Battalion Chief Kramer, on, and I've given him the task this year of doing my budget. The reason for that being is, and it's important that he learns to do it now while I'm here to show him how to do it, because it's an extensive process. We have to look beyond next year. We're all here talking about what's happening next year, and that's all well and good, but the fire department, we have to look 5, 6, 7 years. Because the one truck we budgeted for next year is going to take 4 years to build. So we're looking far beyond the horizon of just next year. We have to build for coming years. So I'm going to turn this over to Battalion Chief Kramer because this is his budget for this next year.
Chief Kramer. First thing you brought the question was biggest hurdle for us. It's personnel. This year to date, we're about 250 calls over last year. Last year we were over 300 from the year before. So within a 2-year span, we'll be over 600 and so we're wearing guys out. So that's one of the things we need to work on here in the future. As far as budget goes, yes, our fleet is aging. We put in for a combo rescue pumper at about, I think we budgeted 1.3 million. Last year came in about 950, but due to 2026 regulations on motors and exhaust, emissions, all that, it raised about $100,000 just for that, plus the normal price increases that they were doing about 4 to 7% every 3 months. November, they have slated for a 1% from what we were quoted out. That's a 4-year build, so we're planning on turning 2 trucks into one, an engine and a rescue into one truck. To replace both of those would have been well over $2 million, so we're trying to reduce fleet and the trucks we're replacing, which in the long run cuts down on maintenance and fuel and insurance, everything. So yeah, 4 years, which will put the engine at 29 years of age, and the rescue will be 31 years old at that point when we replace it. So, I mean, we hang on to our trucks. That PA says, backup truck you should get rid of after 12 years. So, we keep them in good condition and try to run them. So, you know, there'll be ladder coming up in a few years that ISO, everything says 20 years. It's sitting at, we're at 2027 needs replaced. So we'll be looking at that in the future because it needs recertified. It's just better to buy a new truck at that point. Ambulance, we used to be on an 8-year rotation. We have 4 squads. Every 2 years we buy squads, so they last about 8. We're looking to replace Medic 4 this year, and it is a 2010, so it's 13. They're looking at, it used to be under a year we can get an ambulance. We're looking at 18 months to 2 years. So now that truck, instead of getting rid of it at 8 years, we're looking at close to 15. So we're hanging on to them, and with increased call volume, they're getting beat more. So yeah, that's what we're looking at now. So other projects we have a 20-year-old Gator that we use for Walsh games, Cougar football, all the street fairs, everything we do. We're looking to replace that, move that onto the Parks Department. As part of the rescue truck we're getting rid of, we're looking for an enclosed trailer, and with PD making that command post and doing some things with that to use during the 4th of July run, all the football games, everything we do. So other than that,
Those additional 500 extra runs over the past 2 years, where are they?
honestly, there's just medical calls. It's not nursing homes or anything in particular. We still go to stat cares quite a bit, but you're just residential, aging community. So.
Do you think COVID had anything to do with that also?
COVID actually took a spike down. During COVID years, less people wanted to go, so some of that was coming back up, but actual COVID cases are not as high right now with what we're transporting.
Do you feel like there's a truck or an engine or some sort of something you would be able to share with either Plain Township or Uniontown or Hartville or?
The issue with that is that has been explored numerous times with ladder trucks because ladder trucks are so expensive. ISO enters into that, and ISO says that within your city you have to have a primary ladder truck to respond within so many minutes to keep your ISO rating. Due to the Walsh College, due to the Hoover Company, I call it Hoover Company, Diebold and all that with the 4-story buildings, we need to have a ladder truck in the city. Plain has one, Jackson has one, that we use as a secondary for our ISO rating.
Okay.
But because of the distance and because they can't always have it available, we can't share.
And it's 4-story? That's the limit?
Well, it's not that it's a 4-story, but you just have to have an elevated platform truck.
And for those that may not be familiar with the term ISO, it's an acronym for Insurance Service Office. And the purpose of the Insurance Service Office is to to rate in this case the fire service that's available in any given community, and how quickly they can respond, but what can they respond with. And so the Insurance Service Office categorizes all property. This affects every resident, every business in any community. So the ISO gives you a score between 1 and 10. 10 means you pretty much don't have any fire service at all. If something happens, you're on your own. 1 is the absolute best. They're going to be there the quickest. They have the most manpower. They have the most equipment, everything. It's good. So where's North Canton? North Canton's a 4. 4 is good. 3 would be better.
We are 3.
Oh, we are 3 now?
Got a 3 on our last.
So 1 through 3 is great. 4 is not bad. You get to 5, 6, you're in kind of in the townships. If you're like Plain, maybe Lake. You get down to Paris Township, you're 8, 9. It's just not as good. What does that mean? It means, well, that factor is applied to your homeowner insurance premiums. It's applied to your commercial building premiums. The higher that number, the more you're going to pay. So it's in your best interest to try to keep it as low as possible as a community so that you can enjoy lower rates. That's what ISO is. Thank you, Chief, for that. And thank you, Deputy Chief.
Ready?
Chief Kemp, I know you didn't want to say anything.
Frank Kemp, I'm the Chief of Police. Usually here just about every meeting. So next year's budget, one of the big asks that we're venturing into is replacing our radio consoles for our dispatch. What I've been told is they're about a 9-month build, not quite as long as what the fire department goes for some of their equipment. But what we're trying to adjust to is having 3 completely functional workstations. Right now we have 2.5. We're tied into the county's CAD system at this point, so we do share some resources with that. We're tied into the 911 system based upon that in our back room. The radio functionality gives us the ability to have that 3rd functioning workstation. When we've had some of those storms come through town, we've had those overloaded 911 calls. Because we're part of the 911 system, when everybody else gets busy, if it's Canton, Jackson, Plain Township, we start getting some of those rollover calls. We ended up having to handle radio traffic to get information to those dispatch centers because we couldn't call them because their phone lines were busy, and that's why we were getting our phone lines busy and getting that over. So we're looking at upgrading our radio system over a 5-year project with Motorola. They're going to assist us with the financing on that, which is superb. We won't be able to, they give me a price on the top-of-the-line equipment, and they give me a price on the equipment line that we normally get. Top-of-the-line equipment's about double the price of what we are looking at spending on our equipment. And our equipment has its advantages when the internet goes down the way our system is set up. We have 2 antenna arrays on top of City Hall. We have a newer cabling system that's up to that we've done within the last 10 years. So we have new equipment, and ours is all radio-based in that system. So what we're going for is another radio-based connected system. I also echo what the battalion chief said about my most important asset is my people. My most challenging asset is keeping my department staffed. This year we increased our school resource officers by double. Now the school resource officers assigned to each of the 4 schools that we have in the city. But that also comes at a cost to my patrol division. Council, I appreciate it. Last year you gave me 2 additional positions. I've been working this whole year to try to keep them filled. We do have a little bit of attrition from people moving out of state, taking a job with another agency. So when I thought I was filling positions, I ended up backfilling an unexpected vacancy. And with the shortage of police officer candidates out there, we're all vying for the same candidates to get them into our group. One of the other challenges that I've faced is cruisers. Mind you, the current car strike is not helping me. I've had 3 cruisers that have been on order since 2022. They're still on order now, and the price of that equipment's gone up. I ordered the equipment for those 3 cruisers ahead of time, and I've been storing it since then. Now the latest shortage that comes along with the cruisers is also the shortage of the equipment. Some agencies have a parking lot full of cars and no equipment to go into it. I'm waiting for cars, and I do have some equipment to go into them to get those in place. Those are the simple items, and what I've been working on top of all of this, we've been working in a cooperative effort with several other agencies in Stark County as we've gone onto the county CAD system to share the burden with them, reduce some of our costs associated, share our information increase our information sharing, we've also gone to the record management system. That project started in 2021. Due to different slowdowns and everything, we just went live with that project at the beginning of this month. So we are sorting through developing some new processes. And I think we've got things worked out with the fire department that they're happy with the newer version of the software that they get to use iPads with that is much simpler than the computer-based software side of it that we use on the police side.
Very good. Chair, back to you.
Lori, want to say anything?
No, I think it's because that's kind of contracted services. I don't think it would be appropriate.
Okay, any other questions? All right, if there's no other questions, I move to adopt the first reading.
Revolt seconds.
I'm sorry,
I
no,
believe
up
the
below.
Director of Finance has some amendments she'd like you to make.
That's right, we did. Which we did talk about in committee.
So the second reading of the next year's budget, there were new items since the first reading. The appropriation amendments we just did for this year, which of course affects carryover balance, so we need to amend it for that reason. The final tax certification, obviously from the county auditor, is a second one. We still wanted to maintain our 25% carryover in the general fund, so that required moving some projects to the capital fund. So we have a lot of the meats is still in the budget, they're just in some different places. Dogwood Pool, there is some capital items that we need to address at there that we did not have or know. We just had our meeting with the Y, wrap-up meeting. So we're gonna add some budget to address some things at Dogwood Pool next year. We had our final quote come in for our new phone system and the computer servers. They were actually a little bit lower than what we originally budgeted, so I went ahead and lowered those budgets. And pending is still the health insurance renewal. We were told between 8 and 14% increase. We budgeted 12. We'll see where it comes in. Right now, our claims aggregate is lower than expected, and we're self-insured, so that's a bonus for us. Should that come in and be lower than what we budgeted, I'll bring that to you for third reading, and hopefully be less.
Any questions?
So what's the nature of the amendment? The language? What's the nature of the amendment?
In your packet, you have two versions of the budget. One that says amended at the top, which contains the amendments that
The 4
Gina just
different
talked
amendments.
about.
All right.
So, the motion to adopt with the amendments that we just talked about, which are in the council packets. So I move to adopt.
Well, we need the motion to amend first.
Didn't I just do that?
I'll just
Did I
note
do it?
this.
Voted on
That's it. Motion and a second to amend ordinance 86-2023 in accordance with the recommendations of the Director of Finance as provided in the council packet.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second to adopt the second reading of ordinance 86-2023?
So moved.
Revolt
As
seconds.
amended. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 87-2023?
A resolution to acknowledge the rates and fees utilized to establish the budget for the 2024 fiscal year.
Okay, finance,
Okay, we did look at that also, and we have to do this every single year to make sure we know what rates and fees are gonna be in that budget. Are there any questions or issues? Or Gina, anything else that you would like to discuss on this one?
No, this is the county budget commission.
Yep, okay. If there aren't any, then I move to
No,
adopt.
I'm sorry, you were right, it's all rates and fees.
Rates and
Yes,
fees, yes.
Yes, my apologies.
All right, then I move to adopt.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to new business. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 80-2023?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton to enter into a shared development agreement with the Jackson Township trustees.
Okay, community and economic development, Darrell.
Okay. Patrick, you want to go first or want me to?
Go ahead and start.
Okay, very good, thank you. I want to begin by saying that Mr. Osborne's comments tonight were a veritable smorgasbord of misstatements. As many of you know, he's treated this council to a variety of dubious legal analyses over the years. Tonight was no different. I regret that he doesn't possess much economic development experience. He should know, and I assume that he does, that the threat of litigation is problematic. It's chilling, especially in time-sensitive, competitive situations where there are major capital investments contemplated, large job growth. Projects have calendars. I would remind listeners, and this goes to the dubious legal analysis, that the courts don't always rule in accordance with the law. Shocking. The string and balloon annexation, which was referenced, was a type of annexation that had long been determined unconstitutional by the Ohio Supreme Court. But yet, the Court of Common Pleas here in Stark County found no error. In large part because Canton had already conducted a string and balloon annexation to the quarry to the east of Canton. Could very well not rule for us and then be faced with an annexation that was illegal elsewhere. But it's a careful reminder about the challenges that one has when one's dealing with the courts. I come back to this key point. Major developments need certainty. We got Meyer and all the benefits that will come from it because we were able to eliminate security, the questions at every step of the process. The fact of the matter is this particular agreement helps both Jackson and the city of North Canton. It prevents litigation. They've agreed to cooperate. We all sat in the meeting. We heard it. It's a matter of public record. And what does that cooperation mean in real terms? Well, first of all, let's understand that Jackson is built out. It's not creating more commercial space. It has what it has. And its challenge is to develop what's left and redevelop other properties. But it's not going to go out Portage, for example, on the way to Canal Fulton and create new industrial parks. Won't happen. The township, through this agreement, is our partner. It will help us to prospect and to find leads for projects that come to it. And they also indicated that should a situation require, it would not oppose a tax abatement. That's not insignificant. We haven't had to use it here yet. And I should note that the properties in question are inside the Jackson local school district. They already have an arrangement with the school district. So when you look at a term of 50 years and you have an abatement, that's not all that bad when an abatement might run 12, 15, or maybe even 30 years, depending upon the scope of the project. This is not insignificant, again, to have this cooperation. I think it's a winner for us. It's important to remind listeners that Jackson Township has agreed to provide the services in return for the taxes, property tax and real estate taxes that are collected. city of North Canton does not have to police it, doesn't have to fire it, doesn't have to EMS it, doesn't have to maintain the streets. And I would also point out that by establishing a level of cooperation, which we have not had over the years, we have a willing partner in the sale of our water system. We could use a few more customers. You heard tonight what the long-term issues are with our water treatment plant. More customers help keep the rates down. This is a winner on a number of levels. I think I'm the only one here in this room that has ever run an annexation campaign. We won a couple of them. Lost a couple too. It's much better to cooperate than it is to fight. Because a fight takes time, creates uncertainty, doesn't get you where you need to be. If I was convinced that this was not workable, not in the city's interest, again, as the only guy who's run annexations around the table here, I'd vote no. But I think this is a good idea. I think it's also important to understand that as we look at this, the township isn't necessarily going to prohibit annexations or contest them. We just have to make sure we follow the agreement. And we're confining this to an area along our western edge that's ripe for redevelopment, particularly as we move north of Porch. We know we've got the large parcel opposite Kane Toyota, but there's more properties to the north. And if you ever doubt that cooperation doesn't work, think for a second what we could have had with that surgical center had we been in a position today.
Had we been,
Pardon?
Stenographer.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. If we had had this agreement today, that surgical center, there's a good chance that surgical center could have been inside the city of North Canton. It was a significant capital investment. It produced high-wage jobs. We could have brought the full weight of the city's economic development initiatives to bear, plus tax abatement, perhaps. And we could have reduced the cost to the docks who had to build it. At the time, I thought we could have dropped the cost 15 to 20%. Not insignificant on a capital project. So, I think this is a pretty good deal. And it's worth, as you've heard me say many times, it's worth trying. It's worth the experiment. We crossed a major bridge in mending relationships with the township. They're excited, we're excited. I think we can work together on this. And here's the other thing. If this works, and I think it will, it opens the door to projects in Plain Township up North Main Street. If we can demonstrate this concept has value, contributes to the bottom line in both communities, both governments, I think you've got a winner long term. We have a winner long term. We would not necessarily be having a debate about certain businesses operating in Plain Township. So, Mr. Dioro?
Yes, thank you. Being as the second old timer here, I can go back. I thought it'd be good.
The Wayback Machine.
The Wayback Machine. So, going back to when I served on City Council, I mean, one of the things that was of great importance to me then and remains this day is the water treatment business. Business is selling water. And, you know, 18 years ago, I was calling for the appointment of a water czar, somebody that's going to run the water treatment operation like a business. Because if we don't run it like a business, we're going to be out of business. And when you go out of business, you end up liquidating assets at fire sale prices. and then everybody's at the mercy of whoever the survivor is. In this case, would look to be Aqua of Ohio, whose business model is to surround small municipalities and choke them from their customers. And that's the danger that I have seen over the last 18 years. And so it's been my emphasis since I got here to try to grow the water base. You have to grow the customers. And where can we grow? Well, we can't grow east. The city of Canton has run a water line up Market Avenue all the way to Hartville. Can't get across it. As we look to the north, the county, Stark County has water lines that they have put in, and they have customers. And where do they buy their water from? Aqua. So, displacing the county water customers is not likely. We've had discussions with them, but they're not that interested. The county commissioners, that is. So, we can't go south, that's Canton. So that leaves one direction, west, and we're being squeezed from the west by Aqua. So this agreement, had it been in place in years past, would have resulted in far more high-value customers that would have been a benefit to residents inside. We know from what we heard last Tuesday as an example that Jackson Township knew their development plans. They knew they were going to develop north of the Strip, and when that time, before that time came, they negotiated with Aqua, and at their own expense, put a water line in north of Portage, going towards Apple Grove, to service what is now Costco. So, lots of opportunities. Now, mind you, Costco is adjacent to Spectrum Orthopedics, which we ran a water line out Apple Grove to Frank to get that customer with the hope of developing all the other potential sites around there. Yet now Aqua is adjacent to that line, developing all the Costco and that other industrial park there. And it's another foregone, lost opportunity to get high water customers in the system, paying outside rates. If we're not going to grow the business, if we're not going to grow the customer base that will help keep costs contained, you heard what Mr. Lighthammer said, the challenges that we face on our cost structure. And we know from the federal regulators in Washington, they're saying you can no longer just hide your expenses and not raise your rates. You got to have an asset management plan in which the assets of the things that you own, the things that you need, are reflected in the rates you charge. This is not optional anymore. So, from a policy directive, the challenge that you all will have in the years ahead is that if you're not going to run this like a business, then you need to get out of the business, and you need to sell it while you can get something for it. That's the challenge. This agreement opens that door to more water customers. The township is willing, wants to put agreements together with us as it relates to water. And conversations have already begun, even though we don't have the agreement in place yet. I know that will work. So water is very important. Look, I was part of some of those efforts in the past to try to get our neighbors to join together collaboratively to do something. And back in 06 and 07, didn't have the votes to pull it off. I think it was 4-3 vote against establishing a jet arrangement with Plain and Jackson at that time. And that agreement would have circumvented what Mr. Revolt was saying, that Plain Township and Canton had annexed the railroad track up to Whipple in front of Tractor Supply, that area. But there was a workaround to get around that railroad track, and I knew of that workaround, and we worked to get around that and had agreement. But it didn't pass through City Council, largely over what I would say is, respectfully disagree with the opinion that, we can just take what we want. We'll just annex it and just take things. irrespective of whether or not people want to do it, do hostile annexations. There were ways at that time to kind of do that. And so everyone was afraid of giving up annexation for 99-year agreement. And what has it gotten you in the last 18 years? Goose eggs. Nothing. You got nothing but hostility and animus and being able to grow. So with that, we've tried another run at it here, and certainly we've as the owner of the property, we would have the right to just annex it in. We don't dispute that, but we think that there's a bigger picture here. The bigger picture is that with cooperation, we can get better projects. We can get bigger projects where it's not just us doing the lift all the time, but it's jointly shared. That's a great opportunity to make something bigger where maybe ourselves we couldn't do it on our own. I know that we can do things. We certainly have demonstrated that with what has happened in the city with people and Acton Children's and others. We can get people to come here. They want to come here. But in order to do so, I think we need to have some assistance from Jackson. So as we look to the past, what I see is just we've marked time to get here. We don't have anything of value to show for it, and this is an opportunity to do that. The property tax, inside the city is 7%, some number, whereas the income tax, if we control the project, if we direct the type of project that we want there, we can generate the sufficient revenues to do that. Not every annexation is something that you want to do because of the service costs around it. So typically residential annexations are something that you don't pursue because, like for instance, if we just take the classic example that's been used around here for a long time is the Dells. Going out East Maple, you suddenly you're not in North Canton, and you drive a little bit, you're back in North Canton. Because this square block area in Plain Township is ripe for, well, let's just annex it in into maybe 75 houses or more in this area, all underserved in public infrastructure. Annexing them in will get you what? Will get you people that work someplace else, people that are retired who don't have an income, so you don't really get any income tax. And property taxes was alluded to earlier, we have to pay that back for 12 years. But we'll probably have to put millions and millions of dollars into roads. Oh, by the way, we don't have enough money to do the ones we have. Infrastructure with sewer, storm, stuff that has been neglected, by Plain Township as well. So with that, you have to be careful. And in this case, we're saying we've negotiated an agreement where in exchange for the property tax that they collect, they will provide all these services that we won't have to. And in my analysis, looking at the cost to provide those services outweighed the amount of property tax that we might possibly collect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nice summary. Any questions or comments? So it'll be only the first reading tonight. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'd make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance 80-23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Kind of a motion and a second to suspend Council Rule 23 to allow for consideration of 4A and 4B from the preceding committee of the whole.
We both lose.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 89-2023?
An ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds of the City of North Canton to be appropriated for current expenses during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023.
Okay, finance staff.
Okay, so since we are talking about this year's budget and making sure that everything checks and balances and shoring up the accounts. Any other comments, Director of Finance? Okay. there are no others, I move to adopt.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 89-2023 under suspension of the rules?
Revolt moves.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of the ordinance, I'm sorry, resolution 90-2023?
A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies, and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Finance again.
Okay, we just talked about this, and this needs to go under emergency as well, and it's through the Budget Commission, and just ensuring that the tax levies and the rates are
I
what they
think
need
you're
to be.
just ensuring.
That the tax levies and the rates are what they need to be. Are there any questions, concerns? Director of Finance? If there are none, then I move to adopt.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Kind of a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 90-2023 under suspension of the rules?
So moved.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to department reports. Director of Administration, Patrick.
I would add one item. We did have, as Gina alluded, mentioned a meeting with the YMCA management as a review of our contract with the YMCA for management of public pool. So we wrapped up this current season. We will be bringing you a report next month, PowerPoint presentation to kind of show you the results of that. That it, in spite of really awful start to the summer, and then really not very warm weather during the summer, we still managed to eke out an operational gain. And we'll be talking about some of those things in more detail. And then we will be starting a new round of negotiations with the Y for continued management of the pool.
Thank you, Patrick. Director of Finance, Gina.
I have no further report tonight.
All right, thank you. Mayor Water.
Yes, thank you very much. This notice, I just want to bring attention again, if you all saw it. There was a notice we sent out on October the 20th. It was reports of solicitor misinformation. Did you all see that? Okay, misrepresentation regarding the city aggregation programs. We were receiving, or there were solicitors going into the community, providing false information regarding our city and gas electric programs. Just in a short synopsis real quick here, the city of North Canton has recently received reports of solicitors, salesmen going door to door, who are providing misleading or false information regarding the city's gas and electric aggregation programs, and or were falsely claiming to represent the city while promoting alternate energy programs. In short, we just want our community to be advised that the city does not solicit or canvass for our fixed rate community gas and electric aggregation programs. And you can go on our website and you can look for information on our city aggregation program and information. We have a frequently asked questions page there, and that's available at our website. So I just wanted to bring that to, again, to the public's attention. I want to thank our department heads and superintendents for sharing your accomplishments, but also the challenges facing us now and into the future. And in regards again to the shared economic agreement with Jackson Township, we had a public hearing last week, and people who wanted to speak for or against had the opportunity to do so. And folks, this wasn't something that came up overnight. This was months and months of planning and discussions. That was communication, cooperation, collaboration with our neighbor, Jackson Township. And for me, not only from the water standpoint, but here we have an opportunity to really look at land use projects, maybe innovation or creative, or something that's going to benefit both of our communities. And so I'm very much was in favor of promoting this shared development agreement. And I think Mr. Revolt said it is something that maybe is historical if we haven't accomplished something like this. And so I'm not going to let school color separate us, folks. I bleed a little red and blue because I'm a plain local kid. All right, I also bleed orange and black because I've lived and worked here. I protected this city, and I've managed this city for over 40 years. And I have family that has had kids growing up in Jackson Township and went through their schools. So, you know what? This is something we need to work together on in promoting that area so that it will benefit both our community and the Jackson Township community. Because sometimes I think we are North Canton, but we also is a greater North Canton community. So this thing has my full support, and we're going to see benefits from it, if not now, in the future. So I'm very happy and pleased that Jackson Township embraced this meeting months and months ago, and worked hard with our finance director, our city administrator, bringing it back to council for input, and the other, the fire department and the police departments weighing in on this. So I'm very confident that we're going to see benefits this in the future. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in supporting the shared development agreement. It's going to be good for us. It's going to be good for Jackson Township. It's going to be good for our greater communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Settle down about that green and gold stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I was red and blue. I was Glenwood, okay? It's going back a few years.
Yeah.
I never green and gold.
Council Clerk Ben.
I'm actually going to put on my other hat of the IT world.
Do you want me to call it the IT?
I mean, I guess. So first, our rental registration phase 2, which you all relatively recently enacted, has officially begun. Mailers went out last week. I got my first of what I'm sure will be many phone calls today. And that's so we open up for early adopters, anybody who wants to register early, but their mandate to register does not begin until January 1st, 2024. And then secondly, we've talked to you all several times about how in 2024 we're hoping to catch up to the 21st century and have a fully online permitting process where you no longer have to physically walk into City Hall to apply for a permit. Phase 1 of that will begin next week with contractor registration renewals from 2023 renewing for 2024, and that's in hopes that all of our contractors are logged in the system, listed for the start of pulling permits in 24, to try and help contractors with this change in processes. We do have 3 in-person trainings scheduled here in this building that in hindsight I should have brought the dates with me. I'll bring them next week. That any contractor who wants to, or any resident who wants to learn about how the new permitting system will work can come and watch a demonstration in the city center. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Let's go to council reports. Start with Jamie, Ward 1.
All right, I just wanted to first say that I share the mayor's excitement about the shared development agreement with Jackson, so looking forward to seeing that going forward through completion. Want to thank Patrick and Rob for getting some information for me. And Rob, if I get any of this wrong, please feel free to jump in. So I think we had seen some activity over on the detention ponds over there on 7th Street and over at Dogwood. I know that I had a number of residents reach out. They're just based off of the flooding that we had had last year and just wanted to know what sort of improvements were being made. So again, Rob, if I get any of these numbers twisted here. So on the 7th Street Northwest Basin, removed 78 truckloads of sediment material, which that equates to 1,170 cubic yards, and that gives us approximately 230
236,300 gallons of increased capacity for rainwater over there, which I think is just fantastic. So, and then the information I have for over at the Dogwood Detention Basin, 253 loads, which was 3,795 cubic yards of material. Again, good for an additional increased capacity of 766,500 gallons of water. So my hat's off to you guys, because I know that I got a lot of questions from people about that project, and just know that that was something that impacted a lot of residents several years ago. So I'm glad that we were able to make some positive changes there. So thank you.
It was all things that we had discussed, remember, right after that event, in the other side of the chamber, we had the public come in. And we committed to investigate, see what we could do. These were things that we, easy fixes. In addition to what I talked about earlier, that the sewer lining is also a byproduct of that. We had folks with sanitary sewer issues because of excess infiltration. It took us a while because we had such a wet summer. We had hoped to do it last winter, but it didn't freeze. It was too wet. Summer was too wet, so we finally got in there in September when it was a little drier. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for your efforts there. So that's all my reports.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Ward 2, David.
Okay. So as chairperson of Personnel and Safety, I regularly get to recognize new employees. Tonight, I would like to thank those that lead our employees that are here tonight. To see all these department heads and administrators of those departments. You work extremely hard, and it's greatly appreciated. Motivating, training, getting our people to perform at a level that exceeds the residents' expectations, and that's a lot of work. It doesn't go unrecognized. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your challenges that you face, that's good to hear. That's good to know. It's a balancing act, and we have a vision from the mayor. We have administration that tries to weigh those and help balance those. And importantly, we have a finance director that takes these monies across so many accounts to try and provide the best possible service with as much assets that we can have, and then also to be able to provide these employees that they manage an opportunity to do what they do best. So a lot is going on, and again, I thank you for taking your time this evening to come out here. It is greatly appreciated what you do and what you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Ward 3, Stephanie.
I will just, not repeat, but I agree. I appreciate, David, every time you say thank you to those that lead and manage, because that's not easy. And I know sometimes when we're in those roles, you're going to give them the leading and management next year, not the budget. Sometimes it's easier to do Excel spreadsheets and manage people. So I know how hard that is, and I do appreciate that. And yeah, it was exciting to be at Jackson last week and move forward on a project that we're collaborating on, and hopefully kind of a new way forward for managing our borders. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Ward 4, John.
I want to thank all the department heads coming in tonight. Thank you. The Jackson is going to be an exciting time for North Canton. We're going to grow. It's going to be a win-win, and I agree with Daryl and Pat. Other than that, no report.
All right, thank you. Daryl.
I think one of the challenges we all have as we sit around this table is many times we're contacted by constituents, and many times we're contacted by constituents, and we want to be responsive and to their suggestions and their ideas. Last week or so, I've taken a rare look at social media, taken a couple calls. And one of the things that struck me about that communication was that we've got a lot of citizens in this community that have a very keen understanding about zoning. Very keen. They support small business. They want to grow jobs. And I think sometimes they feel that our regulatory environment is insufficiently friendly. In fact, one memorable communication I received from a constituent thought it might be great to have no regulation. Now, I could have dismissed this out of hand. But then the thought occurred to me, why don't we create what I call a freedom zone? It's an overlay for residential properties. So if you're in one of these zones, or you want on your block, you don't want zoning, we'll lift it. You can do whatever you want. Think about this a second. How it might spur entrepreneurship in our community. Right now you can raise chickens. That's allowed. We're not going to count anymore.
Oh, that's right.
All right? We're not going to count. Raise chickens. Sell the eggs. And if a customer comes to you and says, hey, I really want fresh poultry, you can process it right in your garage. Sell it right from the end of your driveway. Think about that a second. Maybe we've got somebody who wants to sell auto parts. Park the car out in your backyard and sell it. There's no zoning. Think about how that might really spur creativity in this community. And I could go on. I think there are lots of really, really cool ideas that might come from a freedom zone. Want to put an addition on your house? Do it. Take the whole backyard. More taxable revenue for the city. Want to move your mother-in-law in? Maybe not a good idea, but you want to move your mother-in-law in? You're on an R50? Take the backyard. Convert the garage. There are just a lot of really, really cool ideas that we could get from this. Freedom zone. Overlay in R50, you take an entire block. Dave, the person that had the impact on me, lives right up on Apple Grove Road. I thought her stretch of street would be absolutely perfect for it. Sell cars right out of the driveway. It would be really fantastic. But there'd be no regulation. That's the beautiful part about it. The citizen makes the decision. He lives with it. He profits by it. Terrific, in my view. Now, this would, obviously we're not going to do this tonight, but later on maybe we could push this over to the Planning Commission down the road and have them ponder it, and then bring it back to us and create this overlay. We've got overlays all over the town. But I like the idea of freedom. I like the idea of empowering our citizens to make decisions about their real estate and their neighbors. Might be pretty cool. As Mr. Osborne said, of the people. Let's give them the authority. Let's trust them. Another subject, department heads. I think the discussion tonight reveals how much confidence we have in you and your troops. They do a great job. Here we are, coming up to the 11th month. We've had a good year. They work hard. I've sat through budgets where we've thought about what we're paying here, what we're doing there. The bottom line is, following Mr. Matheny, please communicate to them the confidence that we have in their performance. They've done really, really yeoman's work this year. It's appreciated. That's my report.
Thank you, Daryl. Christina? Get to follow that.
Yeah, just thank you to the department heads for being here, that's all, and the work that you do, that's all.
I'm sign you up for the freedom zone.
Right.
You'll think about it.
Yeah, I don't know if that I'm in favor of the freedom zone, or I don't want to live next to it. Give that away from me over there. Thank you, department heads. Thank you for being part of the budget. It's amazing how much the budget's improved since I first started to today. So Gina, Patrick, everyone, thank you. I'm very enthusiastic about the Jackson agreement. It's, in my opinion, I think it could be the potential for many other developments that are closely situated nearby. So imagine 5 years ago, and I said this during the meeting, that during Rivalry, which we won, by the way, that we would be in their chambers talking about a merger. That wouldn't have happened. So look how far we've come from that. And yeah, maybe Plain Township comes around and we can be amicable on something going forward. Sure would save a lot of money on legal costs. So the environment for annexation is not what it used to be. If you look at the Ohio laws, they're changing. So I'm 100% in favor and very enthusiastic about that. I don't have anything else. Buy and support local. And final call for new business. Seeing none, moving on. The meeting calendar. So the next meeting will be, we are going to have a 5th meeting this month. It will be, well, 6 if you include the Jackson one.
What did you say, Matt? I didn't hear you.
The meetings calendar, October 30th. So we're going to have a regular city council meeting.
On the 30th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and we'll be around if you guys want to talk. We'll stick around, so come on up and talk to us. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?